Hello everyone, my name is Ellie. I'm a graduate assistant from MTSU Engage, and today I'm going to be giving you all a general rundown of Microsoft Sway. We're going to start with a bit of a presentation explaining what Microsoft Sway is. You'll also note that this is a presentation that I've made in Microsoft Sway, and I'll show you how to access it at the end of our presentation. But if you want more resources on how to use Microsoft Sway, we have multiple available, as well as the availability to make an appointment with us by going to mtsu.edu/engage. As for what Microsoft Sway is, this is a powerful web-based presentation tool that allows the integration of many different forms of media. So think text, images, slideshows, and other types of media through embedded web content. As a Microsoft software, you'll find that this is very intuitive and easy to learn. In addition, when you are adding external content, you'll find as a Microsoft software, it is closely integrated with your OneDrive, which we can see by clicking this link here. This will take me directly out into a document that I have in my OneDrive. So this is a great software to use for something like an ePortfolio where you want to integrate different documents, different projects that you've done as a student, potentially to show to employers. As for how to find Microsoft Sway, starting off in something like your email, your Outlook, this can also be found in your OneDrive as well. You'll notice that wherever you go, there is this 3x3 grid of dots up on the top left. By clicking on it, you'll see a list of commonly used Microsoft apps that you have access to as a student. So you can see here your Outlook, OneDrive, Word, Excel. On the second row right here at the end, you can see Microsoft Sway. If you don't see Sway in your list of apps, please contact the help desk by calling 898-5345 or by emailing help@mtsu.edu. By clicking on it, you'll be brought to the Sway welcome page. This is where you'll find a list of the presentations that you have worked on in the past. Everything can be found here, as well as at the top the option to create a new presentation from scratch, which we'll be doing today. If you haven't used Microsoft Sway in the past, there won't be any presentations here, so don't worry. And also something to note, as a web-based presentation tool, this is the only way to access Microsoft Sway. So unlike other Microsoft apps like Word, Outlook, Excel, where you can download an offline version of the app to edit, you will need an active internet connection to create and modify Microsoft Sway presentations. The only way to access Microsoft Sway will be through a web browser. If instead of creating a presentation from scratch, you have an instructor-provided template, first open the template via the link they've provided. I'll be using one of our scholarship application templates found on the MTSU Engage website as an example. Once you've opened up your template, navigate to the top right where you can see an icon with 3 dots. By clicking on it, you'll see this option to duplicate the sway. After clicking to duplicate the sway, you'll be given an option to edit the title, but don't worry, you can still edit this title later if you don't exactly know what you want to title your presentation just yet. After clicking duplicate, you'll be given 2 options, either to edit the new presentation now or to go back to your collection of sways. With that in mind, let's go ahead and create a new sway presentation by clicking Create New with this plus icon right here. You'll see we're brought out into this blank page right here with only one section at the very top, and this is the title of our presentation. This is what is known as the Storyline tab, as you can see up in the top left in Microsoft Sway. This is where you'll be adding all of your sections, modifying them, putting in any content that you want to show to users, and later on we'll be talking more about this Design tab where you can actually see an active preview of what your presentation looks like that constantly updates the more you add content. So you can see it's completely blank right now. We haven't added any content to our sway, so let's go ahead and do that to see what it'll look like. Starting off at the top here, we have our title. I'm just going to go ahead and type in an example title as well as my name to show us some of the formatting features with this title card. Note that the title that you use here will also be the name of the presentation as it appears within your collection of sways on the Sway welcome page, so make your title something you can easily come back to later but that still makes sense for your audience. At the very top, you can see if we select some text and click Emphasize, that will make the text bold. If we select it again and click Accent, it'll italicize the text. And if we select text and click on Link, you'll be able to turn any text that you've typed into an interactive hyperlink. So what that means is this display text box will show up as whatever you've typed. So for example here, it's just my name, but this web link box, say if we were to paste in a link to a Word document, which I'll show you how to do later on, by clicking on my name here in our presentation, as a viewer, you would be able to be taken to that Word document to be able to view it as an audience member. But we'll go over that later on. You can also see on the left-hand side here the ability to add a background image. Do note that this is a background image just for the title card. It isn't for the whole presentation, but let's go ahead and see what one looks like now. By clicking on this background image button, you can see this insert menu is opened up in the top right. This is where you'll find the locations to add images from. So at the bottom, you can see you can add images from your device or your OneDrive, but at the top, this search box gives you access to a database of copyright-free stock images. For your presentation, most of these images, including ones for the dedicated image cards we'll be looking at later, will probably be personal images coming from your device or OneDrive, since an ePortfolio is designed to show off your own work. For the purposes of this presentation, though, I'll be relying on stock images just as examples. After clicking on the image and clicking Add, you can see it has populated the box right here for the background image. And if we go out into our Design tab, we can see our presentation is already taking shape just with that title card. So we've got our background image here, and our text is centered on the background. You can also note that different options of formatting, like emphasizing the text, so if we re-emphasize that text, we make it bold. In the Design tab, it'll also take on an accent color that is determined by the currently selected style that you have for your presentation. What that means is within this Design tab, to change the structure of your presentation, what it looks like, up in the top right, this Styles menu will give you access to all of the different presets that Sway has to offer. When creating a presentation from scratch, Sway will start with a random style, so don't worry if your presentation has a different preset with a different structure, font, or accent color from mine right now. These are numbered by row, so this very first one is Style 1, followed by Style 2, all the way down to Style 7 right here. Another one of the things Sway will randomly assign when creating a presentation from scratch is the orientation of the presentation, either vertical, scrolling up and down like a normal website, horizontal, which has the presentation scroll side to side, or slides, which makes the presentation appear similar to a PowerPoint. Since we don't have very much content, I'm going to go ahead and flip back over to the Storyline tab, but later on, I'll show you as we add that content what all of those different presets might look like. To add new content, new sections within your Sway presentation, all you need to do is wherever you have the currently selected section, you're going to find this green plus icon, click it, and you'll be given a menu of all the different cards that you can add within Sway. And the language that I'm using here, card, is just what Sway calls the individual sections. So under this suggested tab, you get the most commonly used cards, but if you click under text, media, or group, you'll have access to all the different kinds that Sway has to offer. First, let's add a couple headings. You can see with each of these headings, they have the same formatting options as our title card up here at the top. Once you've added in headings, you can also add in subheadings, again by clicking on the green plus icon under text, and you can see this new option for heading 2 has appeared. You can also add text cards. So by clicking on the green plus icon one more time and finding text, you'll be able to type in a new box that is a text card. With text cards, there are a couple of new formatting options. So you can see we still have the option to emphasize or accent our text, but now we have the option to make bulleted or numbered lists as well. Flipping over to our Design tab, we can see all of our text populating within our presentation here. Now that we also have different headings, some text cards, we can also see what some of these presets do to change the structure of our presentation. So for example, right now, if we hover over this box, you can see that we currently have a Style 2 preset selected. So that would be one of these. If we change to Style 1, for example, though, instead of having that middle aligned text, it'll now be left aligned. You can see it's taken on a different font, and the subheadings and texts will show up under those as well. If we go to Style 5, we can see that, again, that text moves back over to the center, but now we have a tiled background for our presentation as well. By flipping through some of these presets, you can see that pattern will change, the accent color will change, and the font will change as well. If you find a preset that you like, but for example, you want to change individual components, say you want to change the accent color, or you want to change the font of the presentation, you can do that by clicking the green Customize button within your Styles menu. You'll see this brings up a new menu where you can change the color palette here. So for example, we can change that green color to a blue, or you can change that font. So it's sort of a boxy font right now. If we want something a bit more modern, we can scroll up to the top, click on Arial, and that'll change it to a more modern font style here. Also to note, as you add more pictures to your presentation, you can see it modifies the color inspiration menu that you have right here. This menu changes the different color palettes to correspond to colors that it finds within your pictures. So for example, with this library image that we have right here, if we wanted our presentation to have that same beige color behind each of the different headings, we can click on and add that. It also shows complementary colors. So if we click on this, our text will take on this red tone to match the warm tones of our image, again in the background right here. So keep that in mind as you're adding more content to your Sway presentation. It's good to check within the Styles menu and the Customize menu right here to see if you're given more options to have text and colors that correspond to the content that you have uploaded. Going back over into the Storyline tab, we can go over some more ways to modify your content. With text cards, you can see up in the top right, there's these two size options for text, the default small option and a medium option. We'll take our text box that we have right here and click on the medium option to see how it affects our presentation. You can see within the Storyline tab, the font gets a little bit bigger, but in our Design tab, you can see, as opposed to that left-aligned text, now it is center-aligned, the font is a bit bigger, and so this provides one way to distinguish text boxes from other text cards. If you wanted to use this as a third level heading, you can do that, or if you have a notable quote or some data from a presentation that you're doing, that would be another good way to use this emphasized text card. Going back into our Storyline tab, in addition to these background images, you can add in dedicated image cards as well. By going over into Media and clicking on Image, You can see that same insert menu in the top right that we used for the background images is available for these image cards. Once the image is done uploading, you can switch over to the Design tab and see it is already showing up within our presentation. With image cards, there's a couple of formatting options to keep in mind though. You can see beside here, we have a caption box where you can type up a caption for your image that'll pop up below. But there are also, as there were with the text cards, a couple size options to keep in mind. The default is the small size, but if we go up to a medium and check it out in design, you can see it gets quite a bit bigger. And you can go up to the very largest size, which is going to take up pretty much the entirety of the width of the screen. Do keep this in mind as you're picking images for your presentation, especially if you're going with a larger image like this, that you are picking images that are higher in resolution and aren't going to show up fuzzy and pixelated like this one here. You can also see as you get larger with these images, Sway will crop and zoom in on the image depending on the size and resolution of the picture, as well as the size resolution of the screen you're viewing it on. To modify this, we'll go back into the Storyline tab, and up in the top right, we can see this Focus Points option. By clicking on it, it'll bring up a new menu where we can see previews of what our presentation is going to look like on different types of devices. For example, a phone or a tablet here. If there's a particular part of the image you want to keep in view, you can click on it here. A green circle will be added, and you can see now no matter what device we're viewing on, you can see that black book is viewable within our presentation, or you can select this checkbox that the entire image is important, and Sway will not crop or zoom in on the image at all. So even with that very largest option, if we go over into design, the entire width and height of the image is conserved, even though it is, again, a low resolution image in our example right here. Moving on, I'll show you how to add in more content to your Sway presentation through links. So we're going to go to the second heading right here, for example, add in a new text card, and I'll add in some text to create a link. Again, like before, we're just going to select the text, click on link, but now we'll need a link to actually send our users to wherever our content is. So keep in mind with Microsoft Sway, there is no way to directly upload documents such as Word documents, PowerPoints, PDF files. You will need to have your documents in some type of cloud storage device in order to give users an online accessible platform to see your content. For example, this will work with your OneDrive, or a Google Drive will work as well if you prefer. Up in the top, we can see I've got an open tab for some files in my OneDrive. To grab a link, you can find just in the OneDrive menu right here, this share button. We can click on it. You can see there's an option to copy a link right here, but by default, it'll show that anyone with the link can edit the document. So for our purposes, we don't want that. We just want them to be able to view our document. So we'll go into this settings menu. We can keep that anyone can view the presentation, but we will need to change under more settings this can edit to can view, so that they can see the document, but they can't make changes. After clicking apply, you can see the link now is just a viewable link. We'll copy that, go back into our presentation, we'll paste in the link and click OK. You can see the text is now showing up green, and if we go into design, it's underlined like a normal link would be. We can click on it, and it'll take us into that document. You can see here, I do still have these edit options up at the top, but that's only because I'm logged in with the same account that owns the document from that OneDrive. If any of our users were to click on this link, they would only be able to see a viewable version of that document. You can see links would work with things like video files, PowerPoint, Excel documents, PDF files, anything you can upload to your OneDrive you can give users access to. But for example, if you want to add something a little bit more visually stimulating for your document, you do have the option to directly embed the content. To do that, you'll need to be in your Storyline tab, and you'll need to add in a specific card here called an embed card. So clicking on that green plus icon, like we've done before, under Media, you'll find this embed option. Do keep in mind, this won't work for everything with an embed feature. There are a specific set of websites that Sway works with that you can find by clicking on this More button right here. Scrolling down, you can see because this is a Microsoft software, it's going to have the most compatibility with other Microsoft apps, things like Word, Excel, PowerPoint in your OneDrive. Microsoft Forms, you can embed other Sways. But if we scroll down here, you can see Google Docs, things from your Google Drive will work as well as videos that you've uploaded to YouTube. To show you what this is actually going to look like in practice though, let's try a Word document to start. Up in the top left under the File menu, going down to Share, you'll see it is a different option than just a normal link. There is this dedicated Embed this document option right here. So we'll click on it and we'll get a preview window of what this document is going to look like within our Sway presentation. You can see by default it is pretty small, it's zoomed in as well, and so your users would have to scroll side to side to be able to view the full width of the document. So we recommend changing the dimensions to something like 900 by 1100 pixels here. If you think a printed out sheet of paper is about 8.5 by 11 inches, we just round that up to 900 by 1100. And then we'll click this blue copy button to copy all of the code within this box right here. We'll then go back over into our Sway presentation. We'll paste in the code, and because we specified dimensions within that Word menu, we'll click on original size as opposed to one of the Sway default sizes. Going back into design to see what that embed card looks like, you can see as opposed to clicking a link that'll take users out into an external site, they can view and scroll through your entire document within the Sway presentation right here. The benefits of this being in a OneDrive as well is that any changes, any modifications that you make to this file will be shown in your Sway presentation. The newest version of the file will always be shown. You won't have to add in a new embed code each time you make modifications. You won't have to add in a new link. If you were to upload a screenshot, you wouldn't have these constantly updating features. Do keep in mind, with your MTSU Student OneDrive, there are particularly strict privacy settings implemented that prevent users from viewing your document if they do not have an MTSU email. In that case, your Sway presentation would ask your users to sign in to be able to view your embedded documents. If you're looking to embed a document for users that don't have MTSU emails, and especially because even with an MTSU email, there are some privacy settings and things that you would need to change for them to be able to still view that document without issue, we recommend using a personal OneDrive or personal Google Drive if you do plan to use embedded documents. Moving forward though, I'll show you a couple other examples of what embedded files might look like. We'll add in a couple more embed cards right here. And back in our OneDrive, we can see that things like PDF files are able to be embedded. So for example, within the list of compatible software, Canva is not a compatible software that you can directly embed from the Canva website. But if you're able to export your Canva document into a PDF file, upload it to your OneDrive, go up into the top left into these three dots, you will find an embed code that is compatible with your Sway presentation. Scrolling down here, we can see a viewable version of that PDF file. If we go back into the tutorial presentation that I was going through at the very beginning, if we scroll all the way down here into the embedded content section, you can see embedded Sway presentations will work. You can also embed different GIFs, Google Maps will work, as well as YouTube videos, as you can see right here. If we go to YouTube to show you how to embed this video, under Share, you can find this embed option right here to get that embed code. So we'll just copy that, go back into our presentation, paste it just like we did before. You can see Sway even converts this to its very own dedicated video card where you can add in a caption. And by going out into design, it is embedded in this same visual format as our PDF documents and Word documents here. If you have content you'd like to group together, say a collage of pictures or a collection of quotes you'd like to share, try using a group. These can be created by creating a new card, going under the Group section, and finding the type of group you'd like. Let's start off with just an automatic group. By clicking on Add Content, you'll be given the types of content that you can add to groups. So I'll start with a collection of pictures. Going over into the Design tab, we can see instead of showing up as individual image cards, these are showing up as a collage in a grid that Sway has automatically formatted for us. Going back into the Storyline tab, you can change the group type that you have. For example, you can change to a stack, which is going to show up kind of like a deck of cards. We can see by default, these stacks also have a size option, which you can change in the Storyline tab, just as we did with image cards. There is also a grid, which will put them in a borderless grid, as you can see here, or various versions of a slideshow. So putting them side by side, which you can scroll through using the arrow keys. Depending on the size of your items and the style that you have selected, you can also use groups to place text and images side by side. You can do this by creating a new automatic group and dragging the cards that you want side by side into the group. You can see with this image below the text card, if we go into design, it is putting it to the right. And if we go back and we drag this image card above the text card, we can go back in the design tab and it is now putting that image card to the left. The more content that you add to your Sway presentation, you'll want to keep in mind the accessibility of your presentation. Sway provides a feature to check the accessibility of your presentation by going up in the top right, clicking on these three dots, and going to Accessibility Checker. Under the Accessibility Checker, Sway will highlight ways to ensure your presentation is as accessible as possible. For example, for any visual components of your presentation, Sway will suggest checking the alternative text, important descriptions that help those who might be using screen reader software. There is also Accessibility View, which will remove the purely decorative components of the presentation, including animations and background patterns, to give an easier to consume view of the presentation. To finish up, we're going to show you how to share your presentation. So up on the top right, you can see this share button. Just like with the Word document, you will need to keep in mind that anyone with the link will be able to view. If you do want people outside of MTSU to be able to view your presentation, and this link right here is what you're going to give your users. If this Sway presentation is for an assignment, this link is what you're going to copy and upload to your Dropbox for your assignment or your discussion post, for example. Do keep in mind as well, again, that this link will not change even if you make modifications to your Sway presentation. So if you turn in your assignment, figure out you've made a couple of typos or you wanted to add in some more images, videos, you would still be able to make those changes and you wouldn't have to re-upload a new link. The link for this presentation will always be the same. I'll also go over some helpful resources to keep in mind as you're working with Microsoft Sway. By going to our website at mtsu.edu/engage and scrolling down, you can see this blue ePortfolio Help Guides button on the right-hand side. By clicking on it, you're brought out into a new web page with resources for Microsoft Sway. We have a PDF handout over the most frequently asked questions about Sway. You have a link to that tutorial presentation that I showed you at the very beginning, as well as our YouTube channel, which this video is uploaded to. We have other short 2 to 5 minute videos that go over each of the features of Microsoft Sway. Below that, we also have the option for one-on-one peer tutoring. So if you want to meet with someone to go over your presentation, get specific advice about some features of Microsoft Sway, we do have our hours posted here. We just ask that at least a day ahead, you click on this link and schedule your appointment to let us know you're coming. We offer these appointments in person in the James Union Building, JUB, room 306 on the 3rd floor, or if you would like an online appointment, you don't want to make the trek all the way out to the JUB, feel free to do that as well. When you fill out this appointment form, we'll send you a Microsoft Teams link ahead of time to join for your appointment. Once again, thank you for watching our video. If you want more help with your ePortfolio, feel free to contact us with any questions that you might have.